Here on 3FM 92.7. We're coming to you live from our studio at Adesawe Kanda here in Accra. Also live on our numerous affiliates across the country, around the world. We're streaming live on 3news.com. Download the TuneIn app from the Google Play and Apple iOS store. Listen to us on the go. Coming up this afternoon, concerns over Western food prices in Ghana heighten in the wake of Russia's decision to prevent the export of Ukrainian grains onto the world market. Director of Research at the Institute of Economic Affairs, Dr. John Kwache, fears Ghana may be in for a long haul. Also, Accra High Court dismisses James Chachikwezin's motion seeking to halt proceedings of his daily trial pending an application at the Court of Appeal. We get into the details and take you to the court shortly. Also, Finance Minister under pressure to pay some 4 billion cedis in indebtedness to the District Assembly Common Fund before presenting mid-year budget review. We'll hear from the minority who say the challenges of the assemblies cannot be overlooked. And much later, we'll tell you how one of the capital's busiest stretches of road is now becoming the biggest inhibitor as cracks result in heavy vehicular traffic. Details if you stay with us for the next 30 minutes. A pleasure. You could be a part of this afternoon's bulletin. It's streaming live on Facebook. Our handles 3FM 927. Same handles on Twitter as well. 3FM 927. I am Eric Mawuena Egbeta. Let's get into the details. And we're starting off on concerns in relation to food prices because there are growing concerns of a possible food price hike in the country in the wake of a twist to events on the world scene. That's after Russia on Monday said it was withdrawing from an agreement to allow grain export from Ukraine through the Black Sea. The agreement, until this decision, has helped stabilize global food prices and alleviate shortages in parts of the African continent and the Middle East. Now, still on the global trends, the European Union is extending until September 15 an arrangement whereby 5 of Ukraine's EU neighbors can restrict import of Ukraine grain. Now, the twin events, according to the Director of Research at the Institute of Economic Affairs, Dr. John Kwache, is a recipe for increased food prices. And he's been speaking about this in a tweet, and I'll just walk you through. It says that the country must brace itself for even higher food prices as Ukrainian grain supplies are being once more restricted. He adds that it is disappointing that we can't produce enough local food to reduce food inflation, which exceeded 54% in June, and the general cost of living. Dr. Edward Caraway is General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union of the Trades Union Congress. He's joined us on the telephone lines for a bit more. Many thanks, Dr. Caraway, for speaking to us this afternoon. So, are these concerns legitimate to start off with?
Well, good afternoon to you and good afternoon to our listeners. I think that the concerns are legitimate because they are going to have a negative effect on us who are not in Europe because of our strong ties, trade relations with Europe. Anything that affects Europe affects us as well. Just also because we have not been able to insulate our economies to with that of the European countries. So whatever decision that is taken there certainly has an impact on us.
And in the immediacy, is there anything that it seems can be done by the government of the day to avert a possible food price hike, considering that the planting season may already be behind us?
Well, this has always been the call by well-meaning Ghanaians that the economy should be managed in such a way that we are not overly exposed to external vagaries of their economies, But unfortunately, we are still struggling to insulate our economies. Now, we all know very well that we should produce enough to feed ourselves. But unfortunately, all our strategies over the years to have enough food to feed ourselves have not actually achieved the results. As it stands now, what government needs to do is to increase investment in agricultural production. But I just wonder whether government has got the resources to do so. And not even only that, the bureaucracy that goes with government in terms of resources to productive areas, particularly agriculture. So I am not seeing that government, first and foremost, is ready to change its course to invest more in agriculture. And then secondly, whether government will also be able to surmount the challenges that go with this type of emergency deployment of resources to the agricultural sector to be able to increase our production to avert further price increases as a result of the decisions that have been taken in Europe.
Which quite simply means that the prices of food on the Ghanaian markets is rightly expected to go up and go up rather significantly.
Yeah, you agree with me that the phenomenon of food prices going up has been with us for about 2-3 years now continuously. You know that food inflation has been leading the national food increase. And it isn't that government is not aware, but it's just about the ability to stop it. And we have still not been able to do so. The recent government statistics report shows that food inflation is still is leading.
Right.
And so because of that, I don't think that we have an immediate solution. So everybody should still actually brace for higher prices in the coming months.
Right then. Dr. Kara, many thanks. That's Dr. Edward Kara is the General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, and the concern will be what the response of the Agri Minister would be. Well, he's been to Parliament where, amongst many other things, he says that they have transferred 100 million cedis out of the 203 million owed some food suppliers who have been picketing the offices of the buffer stock. The Minister has been offering the explanations on the floor of Parliament.
500 million cedis has been paid to the suppliers. We still owe suppliers a little north of 203 million Ghana cedis. Such release, Mr. Speaker, we've sent to Finance, and last week we received 100 million, which is 50% of what is due the suppliers. We have transferred same through the processes to buffer stock. We're hoping that, Mr. Speaker, by the midweek this week, that 50% will be sent to suppliers. Mr. Speaker, I have also assured the suppliers that by the 17th of August, as we commence the payment of the 50%, 17th of July, by the 17th of August, the remaining 50% will be paid. Mr. Speaker, we have kept faith with the buffer stock suppliers. As I mentioned, the total business that they've done with the buffer stock company is to the tune and exact 2,705,408,476 cedis and 58 pesos.
That's the Agri Minister, Brian Champo, and we'll take you to Parliament again shortly, but this time let's head to the courts, where a High Court has dismissed an application to stay proceedings as filed by lawyers of James Jachikwason to halt the ongoing criminal trial against him until the outcome of an appeal at the Court of Appeal is determined. Let's take you to the courts now. Lord Eduasare is my colleague there. He's joined us on the telephone lines. Lord, and so a rejection of the motion, what then happens to the case? Is it proceeding?
Right. So, Mawuena, you'd recall that the hearings were supposed to be on a daily basis, but because of the application to stay the proceedings by lawyers for Jachikwason, they had to be moving the application. Well, today, after the dismissal, the prosecution had to call their first witness, Tetichi Mensah, and he was cross-examined by lawyer Chachichi Kata. Now, in the cross-examination, it came out that the prosecution's first witness told the court that he had filed the petition or the complaint at the CID in English, but when he was showing his with the document, it turned out that per the document, he had filed it in Twi, but was written in English. Essentially, the case has been adjourned to tomorrow, pending for the trial to continue. But therefore, Judge Chikata was making the case that he has an application to move at the Court of Appeal, and so he was praying the court to adjourn it to, say, Thursday or Friday. But the judge noted that he can't simply miss the hearing because he has an application to move at the Court of Appeal. He can send another lawyer to come in instead. So essentially, we are back in court tomorrow at noon for the cross-examination of the prosecution's first witness to continue. By which time, hopefully, the outcome at the Court of Appeal would have been known. But if that doesn't happen, it will mean that maybe the lead counsel will not be the one who will be cross-examining the prosecution's first witness.
Right, then, Lord Edward, my colleague in court, providing a bit more details there for us. Let's take you to Parliament now, because we know that the minority had always continued to threaten that anytime Mr. Kwesi is in court, they'll be there as well. Let's find out from Komla Kluche what the situation is. Komla, we know that Mr. Kwesi is in court today, or at least his case has been called. Did the minority boycott sitting like they threatened they would anytime?
They have continued unabated, and it's actually reflecting also on the workings of the House a little bit. This is why I say so. The Minister for Agri, who was called before the House to speak on the picketing of some food supplies at the Buffer Food Stock Limited, has been in the House. In fact, it was on the request of the minority MPs that Brian Champon was asked to come to the House together with the Education Minister and also the Finance Minister by the Speaker himself. He came to the House to apprise the House on what so far has been done in terms of releasing some money. He revealed that some 50% of the 203 million cedis owed the suppliers has been released, and that he made a promise to the House that by the 17th of August, they will release the next 50% tranche of it so that they could pay up all the money that they owe them. But the NDC MPs were not in the House to ask follow-ups and all that. Remember, there was that confrontation in at the premises where someone who created a black indicated that they would report the conduct of the to the Speaker, but they are not here to ask questions. Also, there were other minority MPs who had asked some specific questions constituency-wise to the Minister. They were not here, but the First Deputy Speaker, Joseph Osewusu, had instructed that the answers be captured in the order paper, to which the Minister would not have that opportunity, or the MPs would not have that opportunity to ask the questions again, because it's already been captured and responded to by the Minister. And so the NDC MPs will lose that opportunity, and also the opportunity for follow-ups, or what we call the supplementary questions that they may be required to ask. And that's how it's actually affecting the business of the House. So they are not in the House as we speak now.
Right, then, Komla, many thanks. That's Komla Kluche. He's a parliamentary affairs correspondent, and we just stay in the House because the minority they're asking the government to pay some 4 billion cedis to the District Assembly Common Fund before the Finance Ministry makes its way to present the mid-year budget review next week. Deputy or Minority Chief Whip Kwame Govins Abuja has been addressing the media.
We are told the Finance Minister will be in the House before, on, or by 25th of this month. It will be very helpful if the Minister makes some releases to the Common Fund Administration for onwards transmission to the various district assemblies before the budget. It will make the presentation much more meaningful than coming to talk about so many other things when you and I know that in our communities, the assemblies are more or less, people are going to work for doing nothing, especially those assemblies like mine, which hasn't got enough capacity to generate income internally. That is, we don't have a lot of markets and other things, it makes it very difficult for the managers of the assemblies and the various decentralized agencies under the assemblies to work efficiently. We are all working towards making the systems work better for us. So we are just asking the finance minister to do the needful. You owe 4 billion. You cannot come to Parliament to do a mid-year review when you owe 4 billion. What are you coming to review? When we already know that you owe 4 billion. Make a commitment and pay some of this money before you come. That will make your engagement much more meaningful. That is all we are asking for right now.
That's Minority Chief Whip Kwame Govins at Buja. To the health sector now, because the Ghana Health Service is to continue the vaccination of eligible persons in the country to ensure it achieves a herd immunity target among the populace. A 5-day 7th national COVID-19 vaccination campaign is to start from Wednesday, July 19 to Sunday, July 23. Sarah Penkropako is my colleague there. She's joined us on the telephone line with a bit more details. Sarah, talk to us about the launch and what's necessitated this round of a vaccination campaign.
Like Eric, like you rightly said, the exercise starts from tomorrow till Sunday, and it's actually for eligible persons 15 years and above. This is because the service has noted that after the WHO announcement, the drive among the populace to take the vaccines have come down, and they know when cases go down, that is where a possible spike comes up. So there is need for them to hold this campaign again so that more people can vaccinate. They actually say that they have noticed that during these campaigns, more people are able to have access to the vaccine, and then they get vaccinated at their doorstep. So from tomorrow, the exercise is starting. But another interesting thing is the fact that 3 regions have been identified to be the regions that have the lowest uptake. That is the Greater Accra region, Eastern region, and the Volta region, while the northern parts of the country have the highest uptake of the vaccine. So they are hoping to explore new strategies to ensure more people within these regions get access to the vaccine to bridge the gap. The concern is actually to get herd immunity so that in the eventuality of any upsurge of the disease in neighboring countries or even here in the country, at least there is herd immunity, so it wouldn't be as intense as it was during the peak of the pandemic.
Right then, Sarah, many thanks for providing those details there for us. Sarah Apenkro is my colleague at that Health Ministry press conference, providing a bit more details there for us. And we're taking you to Konongo in the Ashanti region because over the weekend there was unfortunate news in terms of illegal miners being trapped. Now, the Asante Achim Central Municipal Security Council has mapped out a strategy to clamp down on the activities of illegal miners there, and Ibrahim Abubakar, he's revisited the area and joins us on the phone with a bit more details for us. Ibrahim, talk to us about exactly what the new strategy is to deal with illegal mining in the area.
Well, Mawuena, for now, the MUSEC wouldn't disclose the roadmap to us because for security reasons, but they say security officers will be firm on the ground to ensure that they end this illegal mining menace for once and for all. We know government had already started the fight against these illegal activities, yet you move to mining communities and you realize that the illegality is going on. The same as Konongo Dumat. In fact, that area is even worse because they engage what we call in-house mining. You move to the various houses and you realize that they've dug holes in there and they are mining right inside their houses. If we can recall the incident that happened somewhere in October last year when a pregnant woman fell into a pit while she was attending to nature's call in her home and landed into a mining pit, and she lost her life. The latest was these two who were not at home but rather went to a mining site to conduct this illegality. It goes on. Now we have the MUSEC saying that they will be firm on the ground, but we have to wait. Time will tell, because this is not the first time they are coming out with strategies to end this illegal mining menace. Yet you come here and it still goes on. So We will give them some time and also observe exactly what is happening. For now, you go to the mining community where the incident happened. Apart from the grieving families who are still mourning the loss of their family members, life is going on. It's as if nothing has happened. For the miners, life must go on. And I've been even told that some, as I speak, are currently at some of the mining sites conducting in these illegal activities.
Right, Stan Ibrahim, many thanks for those details. That's Ibrahim Abubakar, my colleague in the Konongo area, providing details there for us. We're switching our attentions to politics now because all 10 flag bearer aspirants of the governing New Patriotic Party are still visiting various regions in the country in their bid to sell their message to delegates. The Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, has already been to Salaga in the Savannah region. Another key contender, Kennedy Japan, is making inroads in the Ashanti region with the former Trade and Industry Minister campaigning in the Volta region. Well, flag bearer hopeful Alan Chamanti, he's optimistic. He is the only candidate who poses a threat to the electoral fortunes of the NDC in the Volta region. He insists the 2024 general elections will be won leveraging on candidate message and campaign style.
I have been going round the whole of Ghana, and I've been saying that Volta region is going to make Alan the president. For us to break the 8, there are 3 things that must happen before we can break the 8. Number 1, you have to elect the right leader. Number 2, you need to have the right message. Number 3, you need to mount a vigorous campaign. These are the 3 things that can make us great power. They want you to look at all of us very carefully. Who is it that is likely that when he becomes the flag bearer can become the next president of Ghana? There's only one person among the contestants. This is what the 6 million people are telling you. Who you can market to the whole of Ghana, and that is Alan Chamati. Politics is about numbers. So as a party, the first thing you have to do when you are selecting a candidate is to make sure that that candidate can maximize the votes of the party.
That's Alan Chamanti. I mentioned that since Central MP Kennedy Japan has been touring the Savannah region and is headed towards the Ashanti region. Let's touch base with a spokesperson of his campaign, Banasco Ampawasa, has joined us on the telephone line. Many thanks, sir. So first off, let's start with the campaign of Kennedy Japan. Do we know where he's currently headed and what the message has been all throughout the visits to the various regions?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mawuena, and let me say a good afternoon to our cherished listeners. Currently, we are in the Savannah region, where yesterday we visited 4 constituencies. Today, we're doing 4. In total, we've done 218 constituencies out of the 275 that make up the parliamentary seats in Ghana. We've done that, and we visited all the constituencies and had interaction with the delegates and party faithfuls. The core objective of this visitation is to resurrect, as it were, the dying spirit of the main party grassroots, which became foot soldiers who feel neglected, that at the end of getting victory, certain questions are posed to them to provide certain forms before they could access certain support. Meanwhile, during the campaign, that they sacrificed their time, they sacrificed their energy. They were the ones shouting Choboi. They were the ones filing the posters. They were the ones that climbed the electric poles to mount party flags and were electrocuted and died. And all of you, they are not getting the needed support from the party. So we visited them. We shared our message of hope that Kennedy Ohene Japan has said. He is the voice for the voiceless and the hope for the hopeless.
Right.
As I speak, we're meeting the delegates in the Savannah region. We are sharing our message with them, and it's been awesome. It's been fantastic. we started from Western North, came to Bono region, and then Bono East. We started the Savannah region yesterday. And so far, so very good. The message is going down well with the party people, and the message is that you have always fought for us, and when the time comes, we will also let you know that the fight you did for us, we appreciate, and we appreciate it with our votes.
Right. Just briefly, we know that your candidate is coming under some fire as well for his comment over the weekend, which sought to attack the vice president. How have you been responding to all of this?
Yeah, thank you. Let me quickly say that the use of the word attack is one that I will not strictly agree. And in principle, he did not mention the name of any aspirant. Ideally, if Kennedy Ohene Japan made a statement with regards to the economy and the exchange rate, there is a committee that manages it. And yes, the vice president is the head of that committee. At the end of the day, Kennedy Ohene Japan was responding to a comment made that they needed strategists who can turn the fortunes of this country. And you could trace the genesis of this issue when Kennedy Ohene Japan at Asasewa in the eastern region made a comment that when it comes to job creation, nobody can compare himself to him, because in Ghana here, he has established factories and employed over 7,000 people working and receiving salary daily. Same was made at Atebubuamantin when he told the delegates to give him the mandate to lead them and establish more, because he has established a starch factory that employed 978 workers.
Mr. Banasco.
Yes, sir.
Yes, unfortunately, we'll have to leave the conversation here, and we'll come back to you subsequently for a bit more.
Very well, but to establish it, that it is not an attack on anybody, and he is doing this in the interest of the party and building the support base for us to be energized for the 2024 election.
Right then, many thanks. That's Banasco Ampong Ansa, spokesperson for the Kennedy Japan campaign. Let's just end in the Ashanti region on the campaign front, where the New Patriotic Party's aspirants have begun picking forms in the 4 orphan constituencies in the Ashanti region. Let's touch base with William Evans Sinkum for the details. Evans, talk to us.
All right, so we are looking at a drastic Dumase constituency, a new Adivasi constituency, a Swasi constituency, and of course, Drobonso or Setra Franplains constituencies. But I can tell you that, it is building up as far as, the parliamentary primaries or internal primaries is concerned. But one constituency that the NPP is very keen on snatching for the very first time since its creation in 2004 is Aswasi constituency. And I can tell you, Mawuena, all arsenals are on deck as far as that party is concerned to get that particular seat for the very first time. The last time they came closer was in 2016 when they, closed the gap by a little over 5,000. 2020 was a total annihilation when Muntaka also, widened it from 5,500 to over 20,000. But they want to grab it. And this time around, we have the current boss of Maslock, Hajia Zinabu, contesting the former political advisor to the Vice President, Manaf Ibrahim.
Evans, many thanks for providing those details there for us. So one of our headline stories now, and improving productivity remains a pivotal area in helping restore Ghana's current economic fortunes as experts work to eliminate possible threats to this. The biggest of such challenges is perhaps the hours spent in traffic on arguably one of the busiest stretches of roads here in the capital. Long productive hours continue to be wasted over poor roads. My colleague Judith Awachitanda reports.
It's a sunny Tuesday morning, and for workers, it's rush hour. As usual, everyone is in a hurry to beat the early morning traffic and get to their destinations as fast as possible, even if it means waking up much earlier. But for commuters who ply the Odoko-Malam route, getting to their destinations fast has very little to do with how early they set off. For them, the tale is much different.
This road serves as a major highway for persons moving from Circle to Weja, Kaswa, Winneba and its environs. Yet the huge craters left in the road have created a sorry sight for regular commuters.
We spend so much time in this traffic just because of that road in front there. It's very bad. And there are always MTTU people there, and nothing has been done about it.
It's been over 3 months since the road got this bad. All the cars going to Kaneshie often slow down, and those of us making U-turns get stuck. If you are speeding at night, you might get into an accident.
So that report by my colleague Judith Awachitano, the extended version will be on subsequently. But Michael Ogbodu is here with the very latest from the world of business. I am Eric Mawuena Egbeta. A lot more news if you log on to 3news.com.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Business Daily. My name is Michael Ogbodu. Coming up, as Tallow Ghana surpasses 100,000 barrels of oil per day production, its MD reveals Jubilee Field has a billion-barrel lifeline.
Because of e-levy, so government need to really look at.
We believe that there's a possibility to recover almost 1 billion barrels from Jubilee through its lifetime.
Plus, ahead of the mid-year budget review, economist Dr. Saad Idrisu makes a case for the reintroduction of road tolls.
Because of e-levy, so government need to really look at that. In place of that, government could reintroduce the road tax.
Still on the mid-year budget, Ghana Union of Traders Associations, GUTA, calls on government to introduce policies to cushion businesses from the current economic hardships. My name is Michael Ogbodu. We have details of our headlines and many other stories coming up shortly. Well, thank you for staying with us. Straight into our first story, as the managing director of Tallow Ghana, Wilson Almontre, has revealed that the Jubilee Field has the potential to produce about 1 billion barrels of oil in its lifetime. This follows the announcement by the company that its production from its Jubilee oil field offshore Ghana has surpassed 100,000 barrels of oil per day following the recent startup of the Jubilee Southeast project.
When we first discovered Jubilee, we thought it was 1 billion barrels in place, with a view that we could probably recover 35 to 40% of that. Today, we are working towards Jubilee being a 1 billion barrels recoverable field, meaning, we believe that there's a possibility to recover almost 1 billion barrels from Jubilee through its lifetime. And that puts it in another class when it comes to oil and gas fields of the world. Nothing happens in one step. Clearly, Jubilee's been producing since 2010 and has delivered a great deal of benefit to the country of Ghana, as well as through to Tallow and its partners. As you know, we've invested, Tullow and its partners, close to $17 billion in the Jubilee and 10 fields, and that's delivered over $22 billion worth of value to the country in the name of oil entitlements, taxes, and royalties.
Well, you heard that the managing director of Tullow Ghana, Wilson Almontri, speaking there. Meanwhile, energy strategist Dr. Yusuf Sulemana has welcomed the news of an increase in the production capacity of Tullow Ghana, describing it as a win for the Ghanaian economy. Now, let's talk about the media budget review, as economist Dr. Saad Idrisu is making a case for the reintroduction of road tolls in the media budget review. He therefore called for the scrapping of the electronic transfer levy, the e-levy, describing it as a nuisance task. Speaking to 3 Business, Dr. Idrisu believes replacing the e-levy with the road tolls will not only yield the needed revenue, but also create jobs.
Government will refocus on e-levy, either reducing it to 0.5% or cancelling it as a whole. Because if you look at the e-levy, it's like a nuisance tax. It is not bringing in the needed revenue government wants. Government projection was a 4.5 billion a year when it was passing the e-levy. But so far, suggestions are that government is only getting, I think, up to 10% or so, which is around 600 million. So it clearly tells you that e-levy is not doing well. And again, if you look at the negative impact on the economy, all the small-scale businesses like the Momo Ventures, a lot of them are out of business now because of e-levy. So government need to really look at that. In place of that, government could reintroduce the road tax. At least it will help. You know, the toll booths are still there. Government could bring back the workers. Remember, a lot of them were kind of disabled workers as well. So it was, in a way, providing employment for all of them. Right now, they're out of jobs. Government could reintroduce the road tax because the whole focus should be on creating jobs within the economy.
That was economist Dr. Saad Idrisu speaking there. But still on the media budget review, businesses are calling for policies that will cushion them from the harsh economic situation in the country. Dr. Joseph Obeng is the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, and he has been speaking on the issue.
We seek that the government look into areas that will give businesses a respite. Even under the IMF program, we seek that the government look into areas that will give businesses a respite. Even under the IMF program, it does not mean that businesses have to be unnecessarily punished because we want to conform with the rules of IMF. There should definitely be mitigating measures by government itself to cushion the effects of the IMF conditionalities, and that's what we are seeking, that governments should have some measures that will cushion up our suffering. Yeah.
That was President of the Ghana Union of Traders Associations, GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng. Now, finally, economist Professor John Gachi says banks should brace themselves for more losses in the second round of domestic debt exchange program. According to him, this is because most of these banks have their investments in cocoa bills. His comments follow calls by Cocoa Board to holders of its short-term debt securities to voluntarily participate in a new domestic debt exchange program.
To deny the owners of the banks from their share of the profit. It brings about uncertainty in terms of cash flow, because other condition is that those who are holding these bonds, the government has a right to revise even the terms as we go along. So that defines uncertainty for their cash flow. It put pressure on them in terms of profit making. Definitely, the losses that they are making will be deeper than it used to be. So that is what is expected, and of course, some of these things also has a repercussion on the capital of the bank and the liquidity position. And we need to also appreciate that when you look at the terrain so far, you will see that the banks one way or the other, they are on the one hand with the regulator, and the customers and creditors are on the other hand.
You heard the economist Professor John Gachi of the University of Cape Coast Business School. And that will be all for the afternoon's edition of Business Daily. For more business stories, please visit our website 3news.com. My name is Michael Ogbodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe.